Joining me now is Hedia Mohammadi. I'm sure I'm close. I don't know. I'm doing my best. Look, I'm just a dyslexic TV host who's doing good to speak Jack and Jill right up the hill. But Hedia joins us now. Hedia, welcome back to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure to be here.
George W. Bush and I had that in common. We could mangle anybody's name. Just give us a chance, right?
No problem.
Did you ever? I know you met George H. Did you ever meet George W.?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was. I participated. He was the one that appointed me to Afghanistan. I participated in religious roundtables that he did. He was a really personable person, like really kind, and looked you in the face and looked you in the eye when he talked to you. I found him to be a very kind person.
Yeah, I did too. I wasn't around him as much as you were, but we met him at the White House after I did a project for the Office of Faith-Based Ministries, and he was very kind to our family and the kids, and very attentive. He wasn't in a hurry. He took time with us at the rope line. The staff used my kids as bait to get him to come off Marine One and walk over, which he did. And he did. He looked you right in the eye, talked to you. We had to try to get our daughter turned around. She was so busy looking up at him, she wouldn't turn around for the picture. And he was very patient with the kids. And no, I found him to be the same way you did. Which
Wait, so you mentioned Office of Faith-Based Initiative. Did you work there with Jim Toohey when it was first established?
Yes, I worked there. I didn't work there, but I did a research project for them. I did a research project for them right after it was established, and then we got involved with Congressman Ryan, the guy that ran the 4-minute mile so fast, Jim Ryan, who spoke for our conferences, his daughter there at the White House. And so they said, in return for doing this project, let us know next time you're in DC, we'll give your family a tour of the West Wing. And they did. And they arranged it for us to meet the president. So this is why it's hard to criticize George W., because on a personal level, I like him on a personal level.
Exactly. And he was very sincere and passionate about what he felt was possible in the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was just unrealistic, but he was very passionate that democracy could bloom and that people just needed freedom. And he really believed it quite sincerely. And unfortunately, it didn't prove to be culturally or historically accurate, but he did believe it. And it's interesting that I find that now when Paula White's Office of Faith-Based Initiative, they say it's the first time it's in the White House, and actually it's not. It's not the first time.
No,
because that was put under W.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Well, so much has happened since we last visited with you. And by the way, folks, don't forget, she's going to be a keynote speaker at our 22nd annual national conference coming up on October 3rd. That's a Friday night and Saturday. But she'll also be the keynote speaker for our banquet, giving another presentation on that Thursday night, the Worldview Foundation banquet. So that's Thursday night. You'll find all the details at worldviewstore.com. We only have 350 seats for the actual conference itself. So again, you might want to register. It's in a beautiful theater right here in the Mid-South in Collierville, Tennessee. Belongs to our town, and there's only 350 seats. If you want to join our vault, worldviewtube.com/vault, then you can stream it live. But other than that, we'd love to have you there in person. Because there's only 350 people, you're going to have plenty of time to go up to the speakers like Hedia and visit with them directly. So it'll be a great opportunity. All right, so much has happened since we last had you on. And what is really, of course, heartbreaking are to watch the videos coming out of the Middle East of Druze being slaughtered. And many, like our reporter on the ground in Israel, Aaron, are saying, but for the Druze, this is their October 7th. Speak to this, please, before we show some video and get into what looks like a lot of Islamists headed toward the Druze community.
Yeah, so unfortunately for the Druze, their religious beliefs are is an offshoot of Islam. And so as a consequence, because they believe in a faith that comes after Islam, the Islamists are particularly brutal to them. So it is, as opposed to Ahl Kitab, which are Jews and Christians, people of the book that came before Muhammad, the Druze believe in a divine manifestation of a God that came after. So it's an offshoot of Shia Islam. So the videos that you see also of them shaving their beards, I believe that's a particularly act of humiliation, because they also don't want them to look like Muslims, because outwardly their clothing often is very similar to Muslim clothing. They do not go to the mosque. They have separate places called khalwas, which are centers where they pray, but they're not proselytizing. So they don't accept converts for the most part. They believe you have to be born Druze. So when al-Shara comes into power in Syria after the fall of Bashar Assad, nobody denies Bashar Assad was a brutal dictator. But when al-Shara comes into power, as far as they're concerned, this is al-Qaeda. This is a terrorist jihadist that is going to be as brutal or more brutal than Assad was. So they had no interest in disarming their population or being consumed into central Syria and the Syrian government until they demonstrated that they were truly going to protect this population. So Syria, kind of emboldened by being removed from the terrorist list, HTS and Jabhat al-Nusra were removed from the terrorist list, and they decide they're going to send troops down there to basically stop what they believe to be sectarian struggles between the Bedouins and the Druze. But in fact, what they were going to do is to take control of that territory, where the Druze were not going to have that. And as a consequence, they're being brutally massacred. So for very good reason, they are not willing to disarm.
And is this going to, taking them, this Syrian group off the terrorist list, is this going to end up, this is done by the Trump administration. So is this going to end up being a real foreign policy debacle here? Or is anyone pointing this out, by the way, besides us?
I find it so strange that I went through a bunch of social media clips and nobody's really, it's a blip on a radar. And I would like to describe it as this new axis of evil between Syria, Turkey, and Qatar. These are emboldened, jihadi-minded Islamist countries that now have territories of operation. They have U.S. weapons as a result of the invasion into Iraq and that weaponry being passed over to Syria. And they have the capacity to really fund a large-scale terrorist attack, not only in the United States, but around the world. And I think so many eyes have been focused so long on Iran that people are missing this Sunni axis of evil, which is quite more potent and I think very, very dangerous, especially to us here in the United States. I am not sure what motivated us to remove HTS from the terrorist list. I understand trying to legitimize al-Shara, but I don't understand why we would remove the sub-organization, these jihadist groups that have killed thousands of Americans and Europeans and Druze and Alawites and Christians. Why would we remove them from the terrorist list? I find it abhorrent.
So is it going to, as I said, going to end up being something that whoever did this in the Trump administration is, pointed out, hey, this was a huge mistake. You guys helped precipitate this. I mean, are we one of the only conservative outlets talking about it? In other words, look, guys, let's face it. There are those out there in the Twitter world who are influencers who I think, frankly, in my opinion, are either paid with access, paid with cash, I don't know how, but there seems to be some kind of pay for play. We don't do pay for play here. We don't do it with Israel. We don't do it with USAID. We don't do it with any administration. We don't do it with any of the intelligence communities. We don't do pay for play. Okay? We're an independent news network, which is why our numbers are going straight up, folks, because we just call balls and strikes. All right? So this was a fumble of foreign policy by the Trump administration. And if MAGA people can't handle the truth, then you're at the wrong network, because we're not drones. We are broadcasters. We're journalists. We report facts. Okay? And we said from day one, there are going to be days the Trump administration gets it right, and we're going to praise them. There are going to be days they get it wrong, and we're going to point it out. Is anyone other than this network consistently pointing out this was a serious problem? But we not only have this problem, we're then putting people that are tied to jihadis on faith-based initiatives as well that we've talked about. One guy, I think, did 20 years in prison. Then we've got the handshake with the Syrian president, whoever set that up. There have been several problems here with Islam in this administration. And now we have, of course, a great article by Annie Cyrus on how Islam has basically captured 18 American cities. I know that's a lot, but speak to any of this you wish, please.
Well, so in terms of Syria, removing HTS, I think if there's a terrorist attack in United States, they could easily say it wasn't HTS, it was ISIS, it was Al Qaeda in Pakistan. I mean, they can excuse themselves from the connection to HTS by just giving attribution to a different terrorist organization. The problem is we do not have a coherent policy against Islamism. So whether it's in the United States or overseas, we do not have a coherent policy on how to deal with radical Islam. Everything from Mamdani in New York to these conquered cities of America, the article that Annie wrote, to the Epic City in Texas, and our overseas policy. So when Trump goes overseas and asks for billions of dollars of investment in the United States and allows for that to be earmarked to college campuses, that means our policy is not coherent. Here we are fighting extremism on college campuses and then asking the extremists to continue funding our college campuses. That is incoherent. And if we don't have a coherent policy towards Islam, we will fall to the extremists just like Europe has. And it'll get to the point where our hands will be tied. If you see the way that these movements operate, they take over a community, they build mosques, they start to buy the churches and turn them into mosques, they take over city councils, and you end up with places like Hamtramck, Michigan, where the azan is being played out loud at 5 o'clock in the morning, and they have animal sacrifices in people's backyards. In most cities in America, you can't sacrifice an animal in your backyard because it's considered illegal. It's considered like witchcraft and Santeria practices. But in Hamtramck, Michigan, you can sacrifice animals because the Muslims did that for their holidays. And so that kind of sanitary mess, that kind of brutality, whether there's, blood dripping down sidewalks, whatever it may be, we're slowly losing control of the biblical values, which are the foundation of this country, and making sure they continue in cities across America. That's a big problem.
Yeah, it is. Look at this here. Up to 100,000 jihadists are on their way to, or already in Syria. A potential massacre of thousands of Druze and Christians could soon take place. And again, there isn't a whole lot of talk about this on the mainstream corporate or conservative media. Take a look at this, folks. I don't know what's going on with Twitter today, Logan, but it's, I don't know, maybe they're just being hammered, but their feed today is garbage. How can this guy put rockets in the air but not keep a good stream going? It's beyond me. But anyway, there, see what I'm talking about?
Yes.
I don't know, but there you go. Let me see if we can fix it again, Logan.
And I think we should point out, if we can pull up the map, I think we should pull up, because people are like, why is Israel, bombing? I thought that was so brilliant for him for Israel to bomb the headquarters, the military headquarters in Damascus, just to let, al-Shara know that they're not going to tolerate a military incursion into this region because of its proximity to Israel and the Golan Heights.
All right, let's go to the map. There you go. There's the first map. Talk to us about that, please.
So there's the first map. So this is where the Druze communities are located. And if you see this, the middle region, you see where Israel is and you see where Syria is, this middle region is the Golan Heights. And so as you move a little bit west, that's where most of the Druze are concentrated. But Israel, as you can understand, because of its proximity, doesn't want to let this become a jihadi capital. He says, you could stay up in Damascus, but if you come down this way, we're going to make sure to stop you. Another interesting fact is that there's a large Druze Israeli population. So they're also defending and have a commitment to defend the Druze because of their own Israeli Druze community. And so I don't know if you watched the videos of the Israeli Druze jumping over the border between Israel and Syria to defend the Druze.
Yep. All right, let's go to the next one, Logan. There's the next map.
Yes. So this is a better explanation because this mountain, if you see at the bottom where it says, I can't see it close up, but that's where it's telling you where the Druze are located. So about 1 million Druze are located in that mountain, which is where Sweda is. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a map that actually says the word Sweda, but it's this Haran mountain region down here in the southwest.
Okay, let's go to another video. This is a video of what is said to be, the internet is overflowing with videos of Bedouin tribal fighters and other Sunni militias putting armed men in large trucks and buses headed for Druze areas in southern Syria. Despite Israel's airstrikes against Syrian forces, a potential civil war is brewing. Here they are being put on these buses. Again, nothing on X today wants to play right. I ask again, how can the man lift rockets but can't have a video player that works? I don't understand that. But anyway, Logan's coming out here to try to fix it. So anyway, let's go back to you. This is civil war. Is that what we're about to see here in Syria?
Well, again, I think it's the jihadi groups, and they keep calling them Bedouins. I don't know what the purpose of calling them Bedouin is. They're also Sunni jihadi groups, but they're referring to them as Bedouins. So whenever there is this seeming that there is unrest, there are the videos playing. The opportunity to kill non-Muslims, and they consider these people particular heretics and apostates, the jihadis jump on the opportunity. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, without protection. So I heard a news report this morning that Israel was going to allow the Syrian central government to come and restore order in this region. So it'll be interesting to see if they do allow that. Because as of yesterday, the Israelis said absolutely no military is allowed in that region. But I heard this morning that was going to change.
Okay. So who's really behind this apparently is the ideology of the president of Syria, a jihadi, right? We have a video of him talking about taking Palestine. So here we go, shaking hands with and praising a jihadi and hoping it'll all work out. But, again, maybe the president, Trump, should have called in a few of us who've been studying Islam, like yourself, Annie Cyrus, and we could have recommended many people to tell him where this would have gone. I think, what would you have said if someone, let's say you were in the room when someone said, hey, let's do a picture and shake hands with Jelani. What would you have said? Mr. President, what? ... Tell me.
Mr. President, I really don't think it's a good idea to legitimize a known terrorist that has killed many Americans. I think it would be a bad message to send the American people, and I think it's a bad message to send the Middle East, that we would legitimize somebody that has clearly, he has not denounced the organizations, he hasn't denounced jihadi ideology. All he has done is said that he would, work towards peace or want stability in Syria. And I think he could have accomplished the things he wanted before the Iranian airstrikes, because I really think a lot of what he did in that trip, that Middle East trip before the strikes on Iran, was about Iran. I think he could have accomplished that without shaking hands with al-Shara.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to get to who's behind this, but Turkey, Qatar, etc. But first, we have to understand what's behind this is Jelani's own worldview. Now, folks, listen if you can understand what he's saying. Otherwise, read the transcript on the screen here. This is very important.
والله هي سبحان الله مأساة فلسطين، يعني مهما تعرض المسلمين لمآسي وبرا فلسطين، لكن سبحان الله تبقى فلسطين هي تشعر أن هي يعني تذكرنا على الدوام أن هي بوصلة المسلمين، هي بوصلة تحرير المنطقة يعني. لأنه هي مأساة عمرها صار أكثر من 100 سنة، ولكن سبحان الله الشعب لا يزال صابر، لا يزال يعني اشتغلوا على الشعب الفلسطيني بكل أنواع التهجير، قتل، إبادة، لعب في الأفكار، ثقافات، كل هذا حاولت أن تنزع رغبة يعني أهل فلسطين بالعودة إلى بلادهم، أو تنزع رغبة المسلمين، تيأسهم من الحديث عن القضية الفلسطينية. لكن يقدر الله عز وجل كل فترة، كل عقد، في العقد الواحد مرتين أو 3 تحدث أحداث يتذكر فيها المسلمين أهمية هذه القضية، وأنها هي قبلة المسلمين الأولى، وأنها يعني هي واجب كبير على المسلمين بأن يعني يسعوا إلى تحرير هذه الأرض وإلى نصرة هذا الشعب يعني. لأن هذه بصراحة هي قضية مؤلمة يعني، وأنا من الناس الذي عشت يعني طفولتي وشبابي على حب فلسطين والنظر إليها والتفكر بالواجب الذي ينبغي أن نفعله لكي نفعل شيء تجاه فلسطين. وبالحقيقة هي التي يعني وجهتني إلى.
Wait a minute, the path of jihad? Really? I thought this was all conspiracy, Brannon. Yeah, let's keep going.
طريق الجهاد وإلى من حيث أشعر ومن حيث لا أشعر. يعني بحثت أنه ما هو الواجب الذي يجب أن نقوم به، وأنا مثلي كثير من الشباب طبعا الملتهب لما يجري في فلسطين. كان في ذاك الوقت كان وقت الانتفاضة سنة 2099، فكان سبحان الله المشاهد تدمي القلب. والله هي
Speak to this, please, Hedia.
The Palestinian cause is an opiate of the masses in the Middle East. It is the way that the Middle Eastern regimes deflect their country's woes, their inability to grow economically, providing civil rights and liberties to their people. They basically oppress their people by pointing to Palestine, saying, "You look at the plight of the Palestinians. Don't look at what's happening in this country. Your concern, your heart, your treasure has to be concerned about Palestine." It is the way that they deflect from the disaster of their own countries. And it's been that way throughout the Middle East, whether it's Lebanon, Saudi, Qatar, Turkey, no matter where it is, they can deflect the responsibility of being poor leaders by saying, we need to focus on Palestine. And that's, I think, often why there's never a solution that comes in Palestine, because even when at points when there was a desire to have peace by the Palestinian people, I think that bridge is gone. But when there was, before, in the 1980s or 90s, it's the Middle Eastern states that didn't allow that to happen, because they needed to have their failures deflected onto the Palestinian cause. And so I don't think that we could ever solve this problem as long as they're able to use that as a weapon for their people. And that jihadi philosophy is, and Palestine's just one piece of the jihadi philosophy, which is this global expansionist doctrine to basically subjugate and conquer people that don't believe as they do. And so First Step Israel, he mentions it as a Qibla, and that's because the Prophet Muhammad is said to have turned his face to Jerusalem and prayed that way. And so they believe that forever is holy land for them. And so conquer Israel, then move to the West and conquer what they describe as Rome.
And yet, of course, in, 2005? Wasn't it 2005 when all the Jews left Gaza and they could have had their Palestinian state? I mean, they left. And they left them nurseries and schools and hospitals. When I say nurseries, I mean like landscaping, fruit, vegetables, a nursery that would produce food. And they had all of it. And they chose instead to take that land and not build their Palestinian state, but to build a terrorist corridor, and perhaps billions spent, I guess, now on guns and weapons and jihad and tunnels. So how stupid are the people of the world not realize they had their chance? So stop all this keffiyeh wearing, you stupid college kids, you brainwashed, idiotic morons. They had their chance for a Palestinian state, and they blew it. Even Bill Clinton has said, we were giving Gaddafi everything, not Gaddafi, the leader there.
Yasser?
Yeah, thank you. Yasser Arafat. We were giving Yasser Arafat everything, pretty much everything. And he walked away. Let's get a comment from Hedia on the other side of the break. Her website is resurrectministry.com, resurrectministry.com. And don't forget, she'll be a keynote speaker live in person Friday night, October 3rd, Saturday, October 4th. Of course, she'll be our keynote speaker at our banquet for our foundation on that Thursday night. All the details are, and to register. And by the way, there's no profit in that banquet. That ticket is what it cost us to rent the facility and bring in this amazing food. So again, no profit in that. Hope you'll join us, worldviewstore.com. We'll be right back.
True beauty isn't applied. It's nourished from within. Bella Grace Elixir, a luxurious, scientifically crafted blend designed to restore radiance, vitality, and strength at a cellular level. At the heart of Bella Grace Elixir lies Cat's Claw, a powerful herb from the Amazon known for its ability to control inflammation and protect collagen. With Verisol collagen peptides, it goes beyond the surface, stimulating your body's natural collagen production to reduce fine lines, improve skin elasticity, and promote real, visible change. Bella Grace Elixir doesn't stop at collagen. It includes astaxanthin, one of nature's most powerful antioxidants. 6,000 times stronger than vitamin C, astaxanthin protects your skin from harmful UV rays and environmental stress, while locking in hydration and promoting a radiant, youthful glow. Experience the power of nature with Bella Grace Elixir at melissahousebg.com. Discover the science behind Bella Grace Elixir at melissahousebg.com. Read powerful testimonials from doctors and real customers who've experienced life-changing results, and explore other wellness products from Bella Grace. Bella Grace Elixir is more than just a product. It's a solution. Visit melissahousebg.com today.
All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us, worldviewtube.com. Here's another video. I'll just get to it. We'll just get to it. What do you make of what I said before the break? That here we had the opportunity for a Palestinian state in 2005, and they, instead of taking the land and developing the Palestinian state and having a peaceful life, they spent billions on weapons and jihad and tunnels and destroyed their own schools and hospitals and nurseries. I mean, I hate to say it, but even a lot of the Saudi Arabia and all these other countries don't want them because they know they're nothing but trouble. They're trouble to their own people. They are their own worst enemy, but want to blame the Zionists for all their stupidity. And really, I don't know. I don't know if God put some kind of curse on these people or what, but they just cannot seem to get out of the way of themselves. But maybe it's again the demonic religion of Islam, which is spiritually, enslaving them to go after the Jews so that Satan can win, and that the Jews don't cry out, "Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord." And there is no millennial kingdom. So I guess we have to come right back to the fact that what's energizing a lot of this is absolutely satanic. True or false?
Absolutely, 100%. So the reason I went through that political explanation earlier is because it's a multifaceted problem. So not only do they have the demonic influence of the Islamic ideology, but they have political pressure from the rest of the Muslim world, leaving them in conflict. So Yasser Arafat could not agree to peace because Saudi didn't allow them to agree to peace. He would have accepted whatever deal they offered if the Middle Eastern states allowed him to. They don't allow him to, or anyone after him, because it is the way they appease their own people. By keeping people's focus on Palestine, they keep their focus off of their own failures. Furthermore, I served in the US government, 5 presidential administrations. I traveled to 37 countries, and every administration, every congressperson, everybody that I met, except maybe a handful, they didn't understand the threat that Islam poses to the West. They didn't want to. They thought it was overblown. They thought it was manageable through money or through economic deals or through diplomatic compromise. And this struggle continues. We see it sweeping across America. We see terrorism continuing. We see the inability to establish peace in regions of conflict where Islam is prominent. It just never ends because people aren't willing to accept that we're in this existential threat with an ideology and people who believe in an ideology that want to destroy us. And I'm sorry, but that's what it comes down to.
Here is a video that's going around. I cannot validate its authenticity, but there are some credible sites that are showing it, so I trust their reporting. And this is supposedly, again, some of the murders going on in Syria. I know it's graphic, folks, but you know what? We need to show it.
Oh, goodness.
And my folks and my friends, this is what they will do to you and your families here in America. They will not second guess doing this here in America when the time is right. As Dave Gobbets keeps telling us, when the time is right, we will have our own October 7th event here in America, I'm afraid. We've been saying that since October 7th. We said that kind of thing, sadly, that we were reporting on that day, we said that's coming to America because they said it that day, in fact, that they were going to do this in America and other places. So we keep showing this so that people will wake up. This is not a video game. This is not AI. This is real life. And this is what the students and the young people and the Marxists are all supporting in the streets of America. I don't see, frankly, Hedia, apart from a miracle of God, how America does not descend into absolute chaos when you have so much of the country siding with this ideology. And when we already have Annie Cyrus now telling us we've got about 18 cities that have fallen in America. Here it is, the Conquered Map of America by Annie Cyrus at liveuptofreedom.substack.com. What do you make of what we just showed and the warning that this is here? They're here. This is what Sarah Adams, the former CIA gal, is warning, that Al-Qaeda is about to carry out a major strike in America.
You know, it's a very distressing thing. It's been going on. This phenomenon has been going on for a very long time. I had a very bizarre incident where a couple nights ago, where I had a student from the Fuller Seminary here, a prominent seminary here in the United States, especially in Southern California, talk to me about theological inclusive hospitality. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you've heard of this doctrine, but it's basically saying we have to accommodate other people's religious beliefs in order to teach them the gospel. And literally, the first tenet of this group is that we have to accept that Angel Gabriel revealed the Quran. And I said, what kind of madness is that? Are you saying that God would reveal a false religion? For what purpose? Or are you saying the angel Gabriel's a demon? Like, how could you say that? And he says, no, we just have to surrender certain ideas to accommodate them. And I said, this is what's wrong with this country, because if the Christians within the Christian community, we can't agree on what's false and what's true, why are you surprised that the green-haired people are saying free Gaza? You know, we internally cannot stand on the principles that Christ the Lord has given us. This is just turned into a doctrine of demons, and we are extremely vulnerable as a result. I mean, my husband's a former police officer. We don't go anywhere unarmed, which is just so frightening that has to happen at this day and age, that our churches are at threat and that we have to have robust security at every church in America. It's unfortunate that the government is not waking up to this so that we could have a more practical solution to the terrorist threat. I'm also worried as a result of all the Epstein madness that, again, the FBI is straddled with these other issues that take them away from focusing on terrorism. I think that's also between the DOJ and the FBI, we had Russiagate, and then we had the J6 hoax, and people diverting the attention, the elites diverting the attention of the FBI. And I think that is also a huge risk for us if we don't have the right resources allocated to terrorism domestically.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed. All right. So how does this end for the Trump administration? What do you see coming, and what is the Trump administration? If you were in the White House right now advising him, what would you say to do right now, particularly when we have this silly comment by what's his face, Marco Rubio the other night? And we talked about this. How did he describe it, as a misunderstanding or something? Let me see if I can pull it up. Marco Rubio, Oval Office. Did you see the clip, Hedia? Did you see him saying this?
You mean after removing HTS?
Yes.
So he said it was a misunderstanding to remove them?
No, this was after what was the bombings in Israel and the attacks where Israel was going after the Syrian army to protect them. And Marco Rubio claimed that it was some kind of misunderstanding with Israel protecting the Druze and bombing in Damascus. And he claimed it was some kind of misunderstanding. Really? I mean, it's not a misunderstanding. You're murdering people. We played the clip. I'm going to try to find it again.
There's no misunderstanding on the part of Israel. That was sending a strong message to al-Shara that you stay in your box because we're not going to let you turn this whole region into a hotbed of terrorism, especially not from Syria next to the border of Israel on the Golan Heights.
Yeah, here it is. Here it is right here. Watch this. Get your response to this. He's bringing it up.
Time rivalries between different groups in the southwest of Syria, Bedouins, the Druze community, and it led to an unfortunate situation and a misunderstanding, it looks like, between the Israeli side and the Syrian side. So we've been engaged with them all morning long and all night long with both sides, and we think we're on our way towards a real de-escalation and then hopefully get back on track in helping Syria build a country and arriving at a situation there in the Middle East is far more stable. So in the next few hours, we hope to see some real progress to end what you've been seeing over the last couple hours.
So the wholesale murder of Druze is just a misunderstanding, says Marco Rubio.
Maybe he means it's a misunderstanding between who is going to stop it, because he seems to imply that there's a misunderstanding between Syria and Israel. And so maybe we could read that as Israel was going to defend the Druze and Syria had a misunderstanding. They were allowed to send troops there because the final message of the US was that the Syrians had to withdraw. So I don't know if it was a play on words, but it seems to me that this administration, so not just the president, but the people that he has leading don't seem to have a very nuanced understanding of jihadi ideology or of terrorism. It seems that everything is about peace and stability, peace and stability. How do you have peace with people who are trying to murder you across the world? I don't like the narrative. I just wish we would have a more sophisticated narrative towards this threat.
100%. Hedia is at resurrectministry.com, resurrectministry.com. More to come. We'll keep you posted. Great work. We're so glad you're on our team.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Resurrectministry.com. Check it out, folks. Bring her into your church or Bible study, your group to speak. And again, she's going to be with us very, very soon at our Ozarks, or not Ozarks. That's where it was for years. Sorry. Got to get over that habit. Our 22nd annual national conference. You can register. It's filling up. Worldviewstore.com, worldviewstore.com, worldviewstore.com. We'll be right back after this break. We live in uncertain times. In fact, we live at a time when our own governments all over the world are warning us that there could be big problems with our power grid. World War III seems to be right on the horizon. Let me ask you this. Do you have a satellite phone? Should communications go down with cell towers? Do you have a satellite phone to get a hold of that college student or your spouse who travels, whatever it might be, to get a hold of your senior adult parents? We have satellite phones at worldviewtalk.com, and you get the satellite phone for free when you sign up for their very reasonable payment programs for the service. Sign up for the service with a reasonable contract, get the satellite phone for free. Worldviewtalk.com. You'll also find they have, well, what I now have, which is a solar generator. Yeah, I have a gas generator, an LP propane generator, but what if that goes down? I want to back up to my backup. So I now have a solar generator as well. You'll find them at worldviewtalk.com. Check it out today, worldviewtalk.com.